Hey there gardeners, Chris here. I wanted to talk about the 200 litre Gorilla cart, basically whether this dump trolley or dump cart even, as you can see here, is worth the purchase. Now, I've had it for a number of months now, 6-9 months that I've been using it, and I'm actually really impressed. It is a little bit plasticky on the build quality. However, this has been left out pretty extensively and we haven't had any issues at all. It is watertight, so despite the fact that it's got a lot of bolts that run through it, they are watertight, so it does hold water, which means I can collect rainwater in it. And the 200 litre size, I will say, basically if I overload this, we're on a very, very steep incline on our block, it can get away from you. In that regard, my first kind of thought when I bought this was, will it replace a wheelbarrow? And I would say, for a lot of uses, yes. For the very traditional wheelbarrow use, no. And the reason I say that is because I was really happy with this. Went to my parents' place, had to help them move some soil around with a wheelbarrow. And the wheelbarrow for that specifically, where it was a really easy move from one location to another, it was easier. However, with this, I can basically fill it with soil. I can dump it out. Not that I think that's really the most useful thing I've really ever used it for. Normally I'm putting soil in garden beds, so that doesn't work. And to be honest, if I'm moving soil or anything like that, I'm filling up buckets because it's just so much easier. I can get 2 of these in here. Honestly, if I could get like 3 or 4 of these in, it'd be even better. But again, we're hitting that kind of overfilled kind of area, and that does become a problem if you're going downhill because the trolley will try and run you over, or the cart will try and run you over. And if you're going uphill, not that this behind me is the steepest section, but it gets a lot harder to pull this along. Now, on the bright side, it does have this really good handle here. What I particularly like about the handle is obviously it's kind of like that reticulated handle. It's got a really good grip on it. You can kind of probably get 2 hands in there if you've got a, say, large size hand when we're talking about gloves. And it does have a little pin here, and you can drop that down and then you can actually run this onto the back of a ride-on mower, which we do a lot. That really helps on a block like this where it's a larger size block. We need to move things around a bit further. And obviously on a ride-on mower, one of the really big advantages is that you're not really worrying about the weight. The ride-on obviously stops it from rolling away. It effortlessly pulls the trolley. Keeping in mind our ride-on is a 600cc, so you know there's a decent amount of power there. But that makes using this really simple. As far as kind of the design, one of the things I do like is in this little section here, this isn't hollow, it's actually closed off on this end. That just means that bugs and stuff don't get into it. Nice little detail. On basically the burrow or the cart section of it here, we've got these little, they're not really like tie down points. I'm not exactly sure what they're designed to do because they're semi-useful, but they've only got a really little gap down the bottom. And I would say maybe you can put a cage around this or something like that. It does get a little bit harder to get your straps in there just because the clearances aren't that big, but you could drill them out to fix that problem. The wheels, pneumatic wheels, so basically that's a bit flat. They are due for me to pump them up, but it's been 9 months since I put it together and pumped them up, so I can't really complain there. Again, they turn nice and easily. The stability of the cart is really good. I've only had an issue once, and basically that was when I turned the wheels like this, overloaded it, and the cart fell over, which, to be honest, it probably had maybe 100 kilos in it, so it was well and truly overloaded. And that's a bit of a rarity. I haven't really had many issues with that at all. And yeah, I mean, I haven't washed it up to try and make it look like it's much better than it is. At this, again, probably 6 or 9 month mark of having it, it's frequently full of dirt. What I really like about this is basically if we're going to plant something in the garden, I will chuck a bucket of soil in, as I showed you the bucket I had, so like a 40 litre or a 50 litre or even like a 60 litre container of soil, which I've just dug up from somewhere else. I'll put that in here, I'll put a spade in, I'll put all my plants, I'll put a watering can or two, I'll fill this thing up, and then I can move it around the property. So I can do it by hand, but often we're doing it on the ride-on mower, on the back of the ride-on mower, to make things a little bit easier. If you've got a nice flat block, I don't think pulling this around is going to be an issue. I think it's fairly easy. You know, it's got the nice big wheels. It'll go over rough terrain, not too bad. And it's just going to be a useful tool. Now, obviously, it still does require a little bit of strength, as I said, on an incline if you're moving it around the garden, much less so on good terrain. And I guess I'd say in that scenario, if you're looking for something that you can lug things around your garden quite easily, you know, put all your plants in it, put some soil in it, put your tools in it, put your water in it, your watering cans and things like that. This is going to be a great little addition to your garden and to doing the garden jobs. As far as kind of the disappointments, so as far as dumping stuff out, it works really, really well. It's got a pretty easy, a pretty simple mechanism. You do end up with stuff stuck in the bottom of it that you probably need to like kind of drag it along and even get a shovel in there. Not the end of the world. The bottom frame is all metal. It's looking pretty good. There is some rust on some of the bolts that is noticeable, even though I think they're meant to be galvanized. Just looking at it here, there's one that's noticeably rusty. There's little bits of rust here and there, but it's mainly plastic. And then also, obviously, in the bottom section here, keeping in mind that I have had this filled with water multiple times, and when it rains, I just leave it out so that we can get a bit of extra rainwater to put on the garden. There is a little bit of rust noticeable on the bolts, which basically hold it together. But yeah, it's a pretty cool piece of kit. Certainly, I would say it was worth the money spent. I think we spent about $200 on it. It's not cheap, but at the same time, the build quality is actually better than I thought at first. When I was putting it together, I kind of went, yeah, that's not too bad. Now, having used it, I'm like, that's pretty sturdy. Now, hopefully it'll last, you know, a good 5 years or longer. We'll see how we go with that. But yeah, I would say it's a pretty decent purchase. If you're on a really, really steep block and you don't have a ride-on mower that you can connect this to, or you don't have something motorized that can pull this along, you are going to struggle if it's fully loaded. If you haven't got a lot in it, less of a drama. But as I did say, having it with a ride-on, really, really advantageous. And obviously we probably could have gone a bigger one, and I think that would have perhaps been a better choice in hindsight, but this does the job. A couple of extra trips is certainly no drama at all. And if you're moving things around, whether it's like we basically went and did a little bit of a loop, picked up all the drop branches, we chopped them up, we chucked them in some buckets and things like that, filled this thing up really quickly. It's really useful for that as well. So it's just a nice flexible little option. Certainly I use this a lot more than I would use a wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow for moving soil or gravel around or something like that, I think is going to be pretty unbeatable if you're just shoveling it in, moving the wheelbarrow and dumping it out. However, for something like this, where often I'm getting soil over fences or things like that, being able to basically put some buckets of soil in here, 40 litre buckets of soil in here, and then kind of manhandle them where I need to, very, very advantageous. And yeah, I think it's a pretty cool purchase. I do need to go pump these wheels up, and I'll go do that now, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a pretty good bit of kit. It's pretty solid, decently good value. Could be cheaper, but then I think everything could be cheaper. Be nice if it was free. And yeah, I'm not at all unhappy with the purchase, and we're gonna go plant a whole heap of stuff with this afternoon when it gets a little bit cooler, and it'll be doing the job really well. So there you go. Really, not much to complain about. And yeah, if I was thinking of buying again, I'd look for a bigger one, but apart from that, there's not much to say. I would recommend this.